Here we go.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Gail Nordheim and I'm the president of the 350 Madison Board of Directors. Our Giving Tuesday team is so glad that you're here tonight and we hope you'll have a really fun evening. I've been thinking about our in-person Giving Tuesday celebration a year ago. I'm sure that many of you were there. It was lots of fun and a great chance for people to get together. Little did we know that our next Giving Tuesday celebration would be on Zoom after nearly 9 months of running 350 Madison almost entirely online. The last several months have been tragic for people all over the world, and our thoughts are with those who are suffering. But climate change isn't going away because of the pandemic, and the need for dramatic action on climate is more urgent than ever. Our 350 Madison members have stepped up to the challenge. We have more volunteers, higher monthly meeting attendance, and more enthusiasm than ever before. Our campaigns are strong and growing. We are recognized as a major voice on climate in Wisconsin. There is both hope and challenge for the year ahead. It will be great to have an administration in Washington that is committed to fighting climate change, but they can't do it themselves. Making progress on climate will require unprecedented, unrelenting effort by all of us. That's why we chose the theme, Lift All Voices, for this Giving Tuesday campaign. We all need to raise our voices in support of a just, sustainable future for our planet, and we all need to do whatever we can to make sure that the change actually takes place. So again, welcome. Have a good time tonight, and I'm going to introduce Stephanie Robinson, our development director.
It's wonderful to be here with all of you on Giving Tuesday. As Gail expressed so well, we have faced many unanticipated challenges this past year, and yet we have much to celebrate. As you know, Giving Tuesday is a global day of giving back to causes we care deeply about, to unleash the power of people and organizations to transform our communities and the world. There are many ways to give of your time, your talents, and your financial support. With your presence here tonight, you are uplifting our community, helping us re-energize for the coming year, and giving us hope for the future and continued progress together. Many of you have dedicated countless hours to 350 Madison, and for that, we are deeply grateful. Many of you have made generous financial contributions, and without you, 350 Madison would not be the strong and successful nonprofit that continues to grow in impact and reach. Individual donations continue to represent the bulk of our budget, and in order to continue to meet the enormous challenge of the climate crisis, we must ask you to continue supporting 350 Madison. Together, we are building a strong climate movement to push back against the fossil fuel economy that is wrecking our planet, and to press our representatives in government to fulfill their commitments by reducing carbon emissions as quickly as possible. This year, we set an ambitious goal of raising $10,000 for Giving Tuesday, which represents a bit less than half of our goal for year end. And I am so pleased to tell you that we have made great progress. We have already raised 94% of our Giving Tuesday goal, thanks to all of you. We hope you can help get us the rest of the way there. Please note that our community care silent auction will be open through 9 p.m. tomorrow night, and I encourage you to check out the amazing items donated by local businesses and our community members. The link should now be in the chat, as are links for our donation page and text to give. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing founding member of 350.org, Bill McKibben, who was kind enough to record a very special message just for 350 Madison and our supporters.
Hello, everybody. It's Bill McKibben. What a pleasure to get to join you. I've gotten over the years to come to Madison and hang out with the good people of 350 Madison. I remember a couple of times drinking beers on people's back porches, and just back in the early days of all of this work, trying to figure out what we were going to do. Well, I don't know about me, but you guys definitely figured out what to do, and you've done a hell of a good job with it. And this year in particular. And I wish that we could excuse you all from all further effort. Turning Wisconsin blue this time around should be enough to allow you to go retire. Sadly, the world keeps turning. So after a good rest, I am super hopeful that you all will get back to work. Get back to work on these deeply interlocked questions around justice, which is really what we're talking about now. 2020 taught us so much, so many hard lessons. The most important thing anybody said in 2020 was what George Floyd said when he was getting murdered, when he said, "I can't breathe." And people can't breathe because there's a cop kneeling on their neck, and they can't breathe because they got COVID filling up their lungs, and we know that that follows those same lines of class and race. And they can't breathe because there's a coal-fired power plant down the road, and we know whose neighborhood that's in. And they can't breathe because the governor in their state has said, "Come inside and tape your windows shut to keep the wildfire smoke out of your lungs." And they can't breathe because it's too damn hot. It's 130 degrees Fahrenheit this summer in California, the new record. Last week in New Delhi, when their COVID cases were topping out at the absolute maximum, at the same time, the particulates in the air were 15 times what the World Health Organization says is safe. You couldn't see half a block. That's what too much of the world is like right now, and that's why we keep fighting. And this next little part of our fight's going to be really crucial. The next decades are, I think, in some ways, the last decade in which we're going to have really powerful leverage over what the planet's temperature eventually settles at. And so there couldn't be anything more important than what y'all are doing. It couldn't be anything more important than giving to make 350 Madison strong. There couldn't be anything more important than organizing to help the new administration forward and to hold it accountable. There couldn't be anything more important than the campaigns that focus on pipeline resistance and on divestment and on and on and on. You guys are at the heart of the action. And this year, as maybe never before, it's really possible to say you're doing the most important thing you could be doing in the world right at this moment. Not many people get to say that, but you all do. And I am so incredibly grateful to you for the work that you've done in the past and for the work that you're going to do in the future. And if I could promise you we're going to win every fight like we won the election, then I would, but I can't. We're obviously going to suffer some real losses going forward as the climate shifts. But the fight is over how bad that gets, and you guys will play a huge role in figuring out what the outcome is. I just couldn't be more thankful. And hopefully soon this particular plague will pass and we'll be able to do these things not at a distance, not through a glass darkly, as it says in the good book, but shoulder to shoulder, face to face. I can't wait for the next time I get to Madison and the next bottle of good beer on someone's back porch and the next fight, because I know you guys will be in it. So many thanks.
So I hope you're all as inspired by Bill's message as I am. We thank him for all he has done for the climate movement to eliminate what's at stake in this fight. And we are certainly fortunate to be part of the powerful 350.org network that's mobilizing people all across the globe. Next, I'd like to introduce our hosts for the evening, two accomplished young women who we have been fortunate to have as our interns this semester, Kelly and Maya. If you've been lucky enough to work with them as I have been, you've no doubt been extremely impressed with their intelligence and their dedication. Maya will begin by taking us through the plan for the remainder of the evening.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for that kind introduction, Stephanie. And a huge thanks to Bill McKibben for really taking the time to talk to all of us here at 350 Madison. So just want to thank everyone so much for coming out tonight. We are so excited to celebrate everyone's hard work and dedication in the fight for climate justice. It was really fun to start off the night with some upbeat music from our friends over at Forward Marching Band as we welcomed everyone into the Zoom. It's amazing how music can really just bring everyone together, even from our own separate living rooms. On your screen, you'll be able to see a brief program for the evening to follow. So throughout the night, all of our teams and campaigns will be sharing their accomplishments, their goals for 2021, and volunteer highlights. Thank you so much to our volunteer coordinator, Nikki Darga, for really taking the time to put all of these volunteer highlight videos together. From everyone at 350 Madison, we are truly so beyond grateful for all of your hard work and your dedication in the fight for climate justice and a cleaner future. We're now going to be watching a video from 350 Madison's very own Alicia Schoberg. Thank you so much to Alicia for putting this video together, and we hope you'll enjoy. And I'm really excited to lift all of our voices together.
On Giving Tuesday,
we celebrate our community and our power
when we lift our voices together.
Lift your voice for
the most vulnerable, clean air and water,
climate and racial justice.
Renewable energy,
strong communities,
our children and our families,
a healthy environment for all living beings.
Lift your voice
for a healthy planet
and a sustainable future. Join with us.
We are stronger together.
We can create.
We can create.
We can create.
We can create the just,
equitable, and healthy world
that we all need to thrive.
I do not know about all of you, but I definitely just got chills, and that made me want to do even more for 350 Madison and this amazing fight for climate justice. So thank you so much to Alicia for taking the time to put that together and just for being the person behind this whole evening. She's the woman behind the screen. I'm now going to hand things over to my co-host and fellow intern, Kelly.
Hi, everyone. Now I'd like to take a second and make a toast. If you didn't get the chance to make the celebratory Green New Deal cocktail, a link to the recipe will be shared in the chat. Of course, please feel free to toast with your drink of choice, including any non-alcoholic beverage. So we all spend a lot of time and energy working to create a more sustainable future. We're taking the time tonight to celebrate all of our hard work and many successes of 2020. This is a toast to 350 Madison, all of our generous donors, and our incredibly hardworking group of staff and volunteers. Cheers. Now I will turn it over to Tanis and Marian, who are going to talk about 350 Madison's new climate and racial justice initiative.
Thank you, Kelly. Good evening, everybody. We are so happy to celebrate with you tonight and to talk to you about climate justice, our brand new 350 Madison team. Why is it important for 350 Madison to focus on climate justice? Next slide, please. We realize that climate justice belongs in our fight against climate change. We recognize how climate injustice and climate change are intertwined. We believe that climate change cannot be stopped without addressing climate justice. Marginalized communities who have contributed the least to climate change are experiencing the impacts first and worst globally and here at home. We can learn from groups on the front lines who have been fighting back against polluters, often for decades. It is these environmental injustices that have permitted climate change to go unaddressed. By including all people, we will arrive at better, more equitable solutions. With all of the organizing against violence being perpetrated on Black and Brown people, the urgency of the climate crisis, and the idea of building back better after the pandemic, we believe that now is the time to unite and work on these issues. So we know working on climate justice is important and integral to our climate change work. But how do we plan to work on climate justice here at 350? We've elevated the issue to a priority for 350 Madison. We will work to develop an anti-racist culture within 350 Madison and integrate climate justice principles within all of our teams and campaigns. We plan to form partnerships with racial justice organizations in Madison to develop and advance equitable solutions to the climate crisis. We want to become a more diverse organization, and we will continue to educate our leaders and members about systemic racism and white privilege. We've done quite a bit already over the past year, but we are just getting started. We've adopted a set of climate justice principles and goals for our work. We've started to develop the Climate Justice Action Plan for 2021 and are raising awareness among our members and leaders. For example, we had Sam Grant of 350 Minnesota, a nationally recognized leader on climate justice, at our October monthly meeting. We are reaching out to groups to collaborate with, and we are learning. We just completed a book group together, Me and White Supremacy, and plan on more study. Our first official team meeting is actually tomorrow night, December 2nd at 7 p.m. So please join us. It's going to be an exciting year.
I can't breathe. Black people in this country are being systematically suffocated, whether that's with police officers using their knees to suffocate us and snuff the life out of us, whether that's through the coronavirus attacking our lungs, or whether that's through the fossil fuel industry, us having to breathe toxic fumes in our communities. I just marched for 3 hours from Harlem all the way to Washington Square Park. We are here to protest anti-Black state-sanctioned violence. I'm a Black climate organizer, and you may ask, why is 350 doing racial justice work? We know that Black communities are disproportionately affected by the climate crisis. We are placed in neighborhoods intentionally around pipelines, highways, environmental hazards that exacerbate our health conditions. And this also exacerbates the current condition that we're in with the coronavirus. When climate disasters hit, that Black communities are given less resources and people are slow to respond. Think about Hurricane Katrina. Climate change is not a race-blind issue. You can show up for Black-led movements like this, support Black-led policy platforms like Movement for Black Lives Release. Listen to Black organizers when they talk about the brutalities that we face in the streets and the brutalities that we face when it comes to the climate crisis. Provide resources when it comes to bail funds or organizations. Ask your white and non-Black POC friends, what are they doing in their daily lives to dismantle white supremacy? Have conversations with them about racial justice and climate justice and how these two movements are inherently linked. You can support a Green New Deal that want to invest into Black workers, into Black communities for a just transition and a just recovery and a green future. When there's Black lives and Black bodies and Black communities on the line, whether that's during police brutality, whether that's during the climate catastrophe or climate crises, there's no time for neutrality. And we invite you, our white folks and non-Black POC folks, to join with us in this movement to defend Black lives and Black communities. We need all hands on deck.
All right, thank you so much to everyone with the climate justice team, Marianne and Tanis. I put their emails in the chat if you want to get involved. And we're really excited to see all that this new team does to accomplish in the fight for climate and racial justice. We're now going to be hearing from the tar sands team, which is led by Phyllis Hasbrook, who has been with 350 Madison since 2013. The tar sand team works to stop new oil pipelines from being built in Wisconsin and to get existing pipelines decommissioned and removed. So off to Phyllis.
Hi, I'm Phyllis. I'm a co-lead together with Elizabeth Ward of the joint 350 Madison and Sierra Club of Wisconsin tar sands team. And we've been fighting the proposed Line 66 since 2015. And since September of 2019, we've been fighting an Enbridge proposal to build a new section of Line 5 in the Ashland area, which would endanger Copper Falls State Park, the Kakagan Sloughs, where the Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa harvest their wild rice, and Lake Superior itself. Here are the highlights of our accomplishments in the past year. Next. We helped to create a loose Line 5 coalition, which had its first and last in-person meeting on February 1st at Northland College in Ashland. Chairman Mike Wiggins Jr. of the Bad River Band spoke at that event, as did Joe Rose, a tribal elder who recounted the many grave environmental threats the tribe and their allies have fought off in the last 40 years or so. Next. We established relationships with landowners along the proposed Line 5 reroute, and with their help, we're able to recruit 31 landowners to apply to be interveners at the Public Service Commission regarding Enbridge's application to use the power of eminent domain. Next. Unfortunately, Enbridge withdrew their application, so we didn't get to a contested case hearing, but we owe huge thanks to those brave landowners and to their attorney, Brian Jordy, who prepared a powerful case, and to the Midwest environmental advocates who did likewise for a group of organizational interveners that included 350 Madison. Next, we helped recruit over 800 people to attend the July 1st Department of Natural Resources virtual hearing, over 1,500 people to make public comments, and 73 folks to testify. We all urge the DNR to reject Enbridge's application for water permits on the proposed Line 5 reroute. A big shout out to all the team members who helped us reach our goals by making phone calls, doing mailings, writing letters to the editor, texting and using social media, and to Claire, who even made a video. Next, we've assisted with the launching of the Superior Water Story Corps, seeking to collect and publish stories and poems celebrating nature's bounty and our connection to the land and waters of Gitchagumi/Lake Superior. Next, we coordinated with and supported our allies in Minnesota and Michigan who are fighting to stop Line 3 and to shut down Line 5. Now there's going to be a little video recognizing one of our volunteers. Hi, I'm Phyllis Hasbrook. I work with the tar sands team, and I want to thank Mira Grinsfelder for all that she's done with us. She is one of those 1 in a million self-recruiting volunteers. She emailed me, we had a one-on-one, and she jumped in with both feet. At her first team meeting, she learned that there was a cancellation for the 2-day Midwest Academy organizer training, and she attended and has been an enthusiastic activist ever since. Some things that make her special are her boldness, her expansive imagination, and her bravery. Last week, she took a bold action at a Line 3 pump station where she and another woman locked themselves into a piece of heavy machinery, stopping preparatory work for Line 3 construction for a full day. Today, we were in a Zoom meeting and she volunteered for more work to educate the public about the dangers of Line 5. We value her dedication to stopping climate change and advancing racial justice. Thank you. Okay, and now I'll get back to our goals for 2021. Responding to the DNR's draft environmental impact statement on the Line 5 reroute with a huge response at the hearing, in the public comments, and in the media. Helping the Superior Water Story Corps to publish a collection of stories and poems which will help locals and people statewide understand the beauty, value, and fragility of the Bad River watershed, resulting in more activism to protect this amazing region. And creating a joint campaign with 350 Madison's Divest and Defund team of public pressure on decision makers who can stop or remove oil pipelines and those who can cut off the spigot of money that props up the fossil fuel industry through loans, insurance, and investment. And 2021 may be the year that Enbridge finally admits that it wants to build Line 66 from Superior to Delavan, passing just 18 miles from our state capital. Next, we need your help. Whatever your town or experience, we can find a task for you that will help stop Enbridge from endangering our water, polluting our air, and promoting climate chaos. You can reach me at this email if you'd like to get involved with our tar sands team. Thank you.
Amazing. So thank you so much, Phyllis, and everyone with the tar sands team. We are now honored and beyond excited to introduce our special guest, Heather Swan. Heather is a poet and a writer and has kindly donated 2 of her signed books, A Kinship with Ash, to our amazing auction, which link will be in the chat. A Kinship, Heather has appeared in numerous publications for her amazing poetry and has won the Martha Meyer Rank Fellowship in Poetry and the August Derleth Prize. She also now teaches writing and environmental literature at UW-Madison. So now I'm going to hand things over to Heather to share some of her poetry with us.
Hi, I'm so grateful to be here. Can you hear me? Good. So my book is largely about the environmental crisis, and my interest in sharing these poems is really twofold. One is to really help people connect to the natural world, to remember wonder, and then secondarily, hopefully, to act to protect it. And so I'm just going to read a couple of poems. And thank you all so much. I'm so impressed by all of this work, and I just feel very lucky to be here. So thank you all. The first poem I'll read is called Directive. In this world of waters, the unleashed waters, we wend our way, not heeding the beacons, while the snow geese wait for ice that never arrives, and the swans move southward but tarry. Who designed our faulty compass? We must stop now and scrape the soil clear of plastic shards and dead grass, and with our fingernails etch a new map, born of bone, aware of our kinship with ash, with crickets, with wrens. The second poem I'm going to read is one of a series of poems about, they're called pesticide poems, but the reason is because I learned that pesticides had names like Serenade and Victor, and Vespers is the poem that I'll read right now. And when I learned that pesticides were called these beautiful words, I wanted to take those words back. And so I wrote a series of poems using their names. So Pesticide 5, Vespers. By the lake's edge at dusk, a raft of lavender ice is being consumed by the warming blue. Seagulls reel and vie for what is vanishing months too soon. Red-winged blackbirds clamor for the foreground as a train whistle spools through town, the boxcars heaped with coal. The factory hums on, its wires reliably pulsing so we can endlessly use our phones. A Greyhound bus roars along a bank of trees, and two long boats scissor the water below, scullers thrusting to the shouts of the coxswain, embodying the churn of forward motion humans seem to love. But here, on a mat of branches and sand, quiet as monastics in a chapel, two cranes stand perfectly still. I'm just going to read one last poem. And this one is really just about what I recognize all the time in the natural world. It is this balance that exists. And it's really just in honor of that and sort of wishing that we could be a little bit more like this. It's called On Lightness. Outside my window, a wren alights on a fiddlehead fern, and the plant is forced to bend its green spine. As he rests there, the air never leaves the bird's body, the way he floats through trees. And then he takes to the sky again, and the fern sways upright, opening its arms once again to the sun. If only it could always be like this, the burden of one never breaking the other. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Heather. That was so beautiful. If everyone wants to take a minute and unmute yourself so that we can give Heather a round of applause.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Woo! Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
And just a reminder that you can purchase Heather's book. The links are in the chat. And then up next, we're going to turn it over to Kermit. He is a leader of the CCST team. So I'll give it over to you, Kermit.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Kermit Hovey. As co-leads of the Community Climate Solutions team, Julia DePalma, Susan Millar, and I are delighted our campaign leapt to the ground late last year at a sprint. From a hopeful handful wanting to ensure local communities meet their ambitious climate commitments, we have grown to over 100 members spread among 6 active community working groups, multiple project groups, and an action participation list. We have become a recognized and trusted voice in the Madison area. We actively support policies and plans that address the climate crisis and challenge those that don't. We harness the talent, passion, and energy of our volunteers. We move our localities forward at the scale and pace needed to show needed progress, develop role models, and build political will. 2020 highlights include the Madison Plan Commission vote to forward the new electric vehicle readiness ordinance to the General Council. After the Madison group organized and mobilized volunteers to contact alders and Plan Commission members in support of it. The Board of Supervisors approved the Dane County Climate Action Plan after Dane County group members mobilized people to contact supervisors to urge that approval. The Fitchburg Common Council restored funding for municipal electric vehicle procurement after the Fitchburg group volunteers lobbied in support of that budget item. Middleton Sustainability Committee members praised the Greenhouse Gas and Energy Sustainability Plan rewrite prepared by a team of 3 from the Middleton group. Increased campus voter turnout after the UW-Madison group's creative Get Out the Vote work set the stage for new campus climate action. We couldn't have done this without all of our volunteers. In recognition of all, we'd like to highlight 2 in particular. Let's hear from Susan Millar now.
I want to give special recognition to 2 young people who joined our team recently. First is Julia DePalma, who moved to Madison in early 2020 to take a position at Land's End just after she finished her degree. And the other one is Wentao Guo, who also moved to Madison in order to take a position, in his case, at Epic Systems after finishing his degree in computer science. So both of these wonderful young people jumped in as leaders of the Community Climate Solutions team very early on. And Julia in particular seems to have found about 4 really important different roles within Community Climate Solutions team, and also more broadly for 350 Madison overall through her artwork as a designer, because she's working for our communication action team as well. And I just have to say that without the contributions that Julia has been making since she joined us in March 2020, we simply would not be where we are. She brings great creativity, enthusiasm, skill, commitment, flair, and courage to everything she does for 350 Madison. And it's pretty cool that she's done all of this via Zoom. We literally have not met in person except one time out in my backyard. The other one, Wentao, also super gifted. He started coming to regular old Community Climate Solution Teams meetings back in November. And then he joined the Madison Focus Group and started working with me on a new project that's focusing on some benchmarking for the city of Madison. Well, next thing you know, I asked him, would you please lead this team? And he was like, well, he decided he would, and he's been fabulous. Benchmarking project group probably would have folded if Wentao had decided to not jump in. Instead, what he's done is providing tremendously effective organizational work. He keeps inspiring us. He brings outstanding research analysis, writing skills, resourcefulness, initiative to the work he's doing. And he's just beautifully interacting with City of Madison leaders and creating a path of respect and effectiveness everywhere he goes.
Okay, thank you again for that, Susan. In 2021, we are looking forward to even more growth in CCST. We expect to continue expanding our already significant local impact by engaging more citizens to express their deep support for meaningful climate action. The Madison Community Working Group has just launched a transportation project group to support the city's transportation policy. They will bring the voices of climate-concerned citizens to bear on the challenges of reducing greenhouse gas emissions produced by our transportation system. The Madison Community Working Group's Plan Commission Climate Corps and benchmarking projects will build consensus on how to improve the energy efficiency of Madison's built environment. and are filling a gap left by the state's inaction on modernizing building codes and infrastructure. The UW-Madison Working Group is working on campus to hold the board at UW accountable to their stated climate goals. Among other projects, they are supporting student and faculty demands that their institution divest from fossil fuel industries. The Dane County Community Working Group is busy meeting with county supervisors about the county's recently released climate action plan. This group is also establishing project groups, including one focusing on the county's sustainable agriculture goals. Of course, we'll continue activating our action participation list, which has allowed us to gather public support for the surrounding community's sustainability initiatives, most notably gaining over 50 combined public comments in support of the Electric Vehicle Readiness Ordinance and the Dane County Climate Action Plan. While I'm on the topic, I'd like to quickly plug the action participation list. If you're not a member already, please contact Kermit, Susan, or myself if you'd like to join. Thank you all again for an amazing year and for the work our community working groups in Madison, Middleton, Fitchburg, Monona, Dane County, and at UW-Madison continue to do to pursue climate progress.
Thank you to the whole CCS team. I also want to thank Maya and Alicia for helping tonight run so smoothly. A large focus of our Lift All Voices campaign is on the power of art to tell meaningful stories. We will now get the chance to look at some of our wonderful climate justice related artwork. A huge thank you as well to all of our talented artists. I know that I was definitely inspired by all of that wonderful activist artwork, as well as that great music from the Forward Marching Band. Some of these wonderful pieces are available in our auction, and there's a link in the chat now if you want to go check them out. We also want to recognize all of the hard work and efforts of our operational teams now. These are the people who work behind the scenes to make all of this work possible. I will now turn it over to our great volunteer coordinator, Nikki.
Right. Hello, everybody. I'm Nikki, and I would like to spotlight some of the excellent volunteers we have behind the scenes who are making 350 Madison run as smoothly as possible so that all of our campaigns are able to do everything that you've been hearing about tonight. So the first thing I want to highlight is our monthly meeting team. So our monthly meeting team has had to take everything digital this year. So they definitely deserve some recognition. So I'll turn it over to Kelly, who will be recognizing our volunteer.
I'm here with the monthly meeting team, and I'm here to honor Julia Isaacs. Julia has been with 350 since the beginning, back in 2012 when it got started, and was with the coordinating council at that time, and has also been heavily involved with the defund and divestment team as well. And then when Kevin, our previous monthly meeting coordinator, left, then she started taking over that role of running the monthly meetings. She has been inviting the speakers and running the meetings for a couple of years before she got more organized and took on more people to help her out with that. So since then, we've had a team that has been coordinating every month. We figure out who should be the speakers and if we're going to have that and how the meetings will run. And Julia does much of the contacting of those people, so she's very good at recruiting people to actually be speakers. And then the best thing is that she really runs the meeting in a way that's really welcoming, so that new people coming in and people who've been there for a while all feel like it's important for them to be there and that they have a role in 350 Madison. And so she has been very crucial to making monthly meetings work, to making them something that's very functional and brief, and that is really an important way for everybody to feel connected to 350 Madison.
All right, well, thank you so much, Julia. The next team that we want to highlight is our CAT team, or our Communication Action Team. They are in charge of all of our social media, all of our communications, so you hear from them fairly often, and without them, we wouldn't be able to get our messages out. So I'm going to turn it over to Emily to talk about her volunteer highlight.
So tonight I would like to recognize Kathy as an exceptional volunteer with the CAT team. I think I speak for all of the CAT team when I say that Kathy is really the heart and soul of our team. She is such a warm, kind, giving person. She does most of the website. She does a great deal of our Facebook, and she really keeps the rest of us organized and on track. And she's always available for questions, and if people need help, not just within CAT, but people from the greater organization, if they need help, she's always there. When I first joined 350 Madison, Kathy was really the one who introduced me to not only what CAT is and what we do, but also how the organization as a whole works and how it's organized. And she's just such a warm, welcoming person. And I think CAT and 350 Madison would not be the same without her.
So thank you so much, Kathy. The CAT team and Kathy had a huge hand in completely redesigning our website this year. So they definitely deserve a lot of thanks for that. And our next team that we're going to be talking about is our general administration team. Without them, we need leadership to run properly, and without them, we would not be where we are. So I'm going to turn it over to Gail to recognize Bill.
I'm pleased to recognize our treasurer, Bill Backus. Bill has been an important part of 350 Madison for several years, but you may not know him. He's one of our volunteers who does most of his work behind the scenes, and the work that he does is absolutely essential. Bill makes sure that we have clear budgets and properly managed finances. Having our financial house in order allows us to carry out our important work and succeed as an organization. We're very lucky to have Bill as our treasurer. He really knows how to do the job. In addition to being treasurer for 350 Madison, he has served as treasurer for his union, for the Boy Scouts, and for other groups for which he's volunteered. Bill helps with other important jobs as well. He helped us make the complex transition to our new member database, and he's worked on a variety of IT challenges. He's a member of the fundraising team, and he himself is an accomplished fundraiser for 350 Madison. In my position as board president, I work closely with Bill. I really appreciate all he does and want to thank him for that today.
All right, thank you so much, Bill. You know, every organization needs a fantastic treasurer to run properly, so thank you so much to all that you do. Our next team here is going to be a volunteer who helps out with our IT and tech. We recently switched to a new software, and that is always a huge transition. And the volunteer that we're going to be highlighting was instrumental in helping us do that. So I'm going to turn it over to Gail one more time here.
I'd also like to recognize Raju Sharish for her service to 350 Madison. Raju is an experienced database professional who lives in Houston, Texas. She learned about 350 Madison from a volunteer job board and contacted us almost a year ago. Like Bill, Raju works behind the scenes in technology, and the work she does is very important. Raju helped us select a new database product to improve our communications with our supporters. She then helped us transition to the new database. She researches and troubleshoots any number of questions and issues involving the database, and she helps with other technology issues as well, like helping us research auction software for our GivingTuesday auction. Raju is always happy to tackle a new challenge, and we very much appreciate her help.
All right, and thank you so much, Ranju. You know, with this year being the way it is, we could not, you know, function without proper technology, particularly with the pandemic. So we thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. And now I want to transition to one last award, our 350 Madison Leadership Award within our operational team. So I'm going to let Tanis take it away on this one.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, and I'd like to present a very special award tonight, our first ever 350 Madison Leadership Award. I'm so happy and honored to recognize Gail Nordheim as the first recipient of this award and thank her for all her work. She's so important to our organization that we felt we needed to create a brand new award in order to adequately recognize her and her contributions. Gail is the glue that holds this organization together. We wouldn't be the successful organization we are without her. Gail epitomizes all of the qualities of a true leader. She's tireless, motivated, thoughtful, hardworking, humble, dedicated, and committed to 350 Madison and fighting climate change. Not only is she the board president, but she's the lead on the fundraising team, not to mention many, many other subgroups and subcommittees. We are recognized as one of the top 10 nationally recognized 350 chapters, in large part due to Gail's leadership. This year alone, Gail has led 350 Madison through a reorganization of our leadership structure, a complete change in our software email system, which has been mentioned, and she led the fabulously successful Get Out the Vote project for 350 Madison over these last few months. We would all like to say a big thank you to you, Gail, for your generosity of time and spirit, and for everything you do to keep 350 Madison running smoothly.
Let's all come off mute and give Gail a big hand.
Just real briefly, thank you so much. I'm totally surprised. This was a surprise. and
you, Gail.
A wonderful group of people to work with. I love working with all of you. And thank you.
And
Thank
now
you so much. Thank you so much, Gail. We really, really appreciate you more than you can ever know. You really make everything 350 Madison does possible. Now I'm excited to announce the winners of our Climate Story Contest. And then for those who may not have heard, a climate story is a personal story about you and your experience with climate change. We asked our 350 Madison community to submit their climate stories because we believe in the power of storytelling. Though the science behind climate change is essential, personal stories put facts and figures into context and provide a powerful way to motivate people to join the climate movement. We deeply appreciate all submissions and we're moved by your personal experiences with climate change. I want to now highlight our top 3 winners: Teresa Berkowitz, Maddie Leffler, and Jeanette Rosenbaum. These stories truly demonstrated an emotional connection to climate change, and I encourage you to check them out through the links in the chat. I am now so pleased to turn the floor over to our top winner, Carol Phelps, as she will now read her submission. Thanks again to everyone who entered our contest.
Are you ready for me to read?
Yes, whenever you're ready, Carol.
Okay. At least one disaster you never have to worry about if you live on top of a hill is flooding, right? Wrong. August 20th, 2018 was a rough day for our family. We had to put our beloved dog Pippin to sleep after a dozen years of love and companionship. As we left the veterinary hospital late that afternoon, it was raining hard. Stretches of University Avenue were flooding, making it hard to drive. But we made it home and to bed, hearts heavy with grief, only to be awoken by an odd, piercing sound from our basement. The water alarm my wise husband had put on the basement floor was going off. We then spent our night ankle deep in sewage, trying to rescue everything our daughters owned, which was stored in our basement while they were working abroad. We live at the top of a hill. According to the news reports, our area got between 11 and 14 inches of rain that evening. We'll never know exactly how much landed on our house because our rain gauge overflowed after the first 5 inches. But no place is prepared to absorb that much precipitation in just a few hours. The downpour turned into a raging torrent, which ran across our property like Niagara Falls, causing our double septic tanks to overflow and send sewage water gushing into our basement. The torrent continued downhill to deposit our property's muddy water into our unfortunate neighbor's swimming pool. As we stood aghast in our basement, the mucky, stinky floodwaters rapidly rising around our feet, we realized we could bail, but where to? Every drain in our house led to the septic tanks, which were the source of our current flood. Fortunately, we kept some sand in the garage, so we hurriedly fashioned a sandbag to throw over the floor drain to stop the influx of sewage water. But it was still a dire emergency. The sewage spread across the uneven floor and soon reached the carpeted area. It started seeping into our furniture and the cardboard storage boxes containing our daughter's belongings. How could we rescue things in time? How could we get them moved higher before they were ruined? How can one even move boxes, which were rapidly becoming sodden and dripping with filth? I splashed about frantically, saving what I could,
as if I were throwing critical items from a sinking ship into a lifeboat. Meanwhile, my intrepid husband fetched all the plastic storage tubs he could find in our house, grabbed his shop vac, and started sucking the muddy waters off the floor. Every time the shop vac filled to capacity, he dumped the sewer water into one of the plastic tubs. My husband carefully suspended the electric cord for the shop vac and the extension cord up near the ceiling. He gets full points for bravery because he was standing barefoot in the brown water. And a single slip up, one of us losing our balance or accidentally knocking the cord into the water, and he could have been electrocuted. It was a long night, rescuing what we could, junking what we couldn't, trying to clean up the worst of the mess before the ripe odor became permanent. The next day, we discovered we were one of the lucky ones. Our neighbors across the street lived beside a glacial kettle. This is a small but deep bowl-shaped pond. And in the unprecedented downpour, the glacial kettle overflowed and the lower story of their house flooded nearly to the ceiling. A huge dumpster of everything that got destroyed sat outside their home for the next 6 months as repair work dragged on. A few days after the flood, we finally drove around to see the devastation below our hill. Homes and businesses were in shambles. Destroyed belongings were piled high all along the sides of the street. Trees were uprooted and thrown about as if they were children's toys. Scenes of disaster were everywhere. Huge, slow-moving storms that dump enormous amounts of rain are becoming more common due to climate change. If you think you are safe from climate disasters, that your hilltop could never flood, think again. The climate crisis will affect every person on our planet if we don't take action now. Thank you.
Wow, thank you again to Carol and all of our contest entries for your wonderful stories. Again, if everyone would want to go off mute, we could give Carol a round of applause.
Yay!
Hey!
Woohoo!
She also read the condensed version for time's sake. So if you want to see the full story, it is in the link up above. But now I would like to turn it over to Seth, our Divest and Defund team lead. Thanks, Seth.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you everyone who accepted the invitation to be part of this very special celebration. Bill McKibben's intro reminded me of what a special gift breath is. So before going on, I'd just like to invite all of us to take a breath together. And before talking about the Divest to Fund team, I want to also invite you to stay connected with us beyond tonight. You can do that by opening up the chat window and clicking on the blue text. That will take you to a page that looks like this. By typing your name and email address in the appropriate form fields and hitting the Join Us button, you will receive invitations to shape future actions and also attend them, actions that are both in person and online. This team is powered by some incredible people who have organized some stunning actions. We are going to be sharing some examples of them with you. One thing you'll notice is that in a lot of these pictures, we are protesting at a local Chase Bank, and you might be asking yourself, why are they doing that? Well, We're doing that because Chase is the largest funder of climate change in the world. They're a major player in what we call the money pipeline. That's the supply of loans, investments, and insurance policies that the fossil fuel industry desperately needs in order to do its dirty business. Chase is also a backer of the Enbridge pipelines that we've been resisting here in Wisconsin. Part of the purpose of our actions is to draw attention to this toxic relationship. The larger purpose is to defund climate change. When it comes to serious issues, big banks have been known to bow to organized public pressure. So we saw an example of that earlier this year with Chase Bank's decision to stop loaning money to coal plants around the world, as well as oil and gas projects in the Arctic. That news broke in late February, just days after one of our Chase campaign actions. That particular action was a spirited sing-along, and we want to recognize someone who was pivotal to the success of that and many other demonstrations, Rebecca Alwyn. I want to thank you on behalf of the entire Divest to Fund team for the many last-minute requests that you responded to provide musical and song support at the many rallies that we've done over the past 2.5 years of Chase campaigning. You've tirelessly and faithlessly been there when we asked you to come forward and not only lend your voice to our events, but bring in many, many other voices from very dedicated raging grannies. And we want to thank you not just for supporting our events, but we know that you have been present lifting up voices and causes from the Standing Rock struggle to voters' rights to various anti-oppression campaigns. So thank you always for responding to those calls for support, those calls to take action to create a more livable, more sustainable, more just and democratic world. We are very, very lucky to have had you organizing with this team and this campaign. Thank you, Rebecca, and thank all of you for joining us here tonight. I think I may have forgot to mention that to get to this form, you'll want to go into the chat and click on the blue highlighted text and then just fill out the appropriate fields and hit join us. So to close, 2021, we would really like that to be the year that Chase Bank puts their money where their mouth is, choosing people over pipelines. For that to happen, the Chase campaign will need to escalate the number and intensity of our actions, both in person and online. And we really want you to be a part of that. So whether you've been with Divest to Fund from the beginning, or if this is your very first 350 Madison meeting, please take a moment, go to the chat, take 15 seconds to fill out those form fields. And thank you again for being here tonight. Thank you for supporting 350 Madison. And we hope you enjoy the rest of the program. The next part will be facilitated by Kelly Hogan.
Hi, before we turn it over to Stephanie, Maya and I were hoping to take a moment to recognize Stephanie for all of her hard work and the countless hours that she put in to make this Giving Tuesday possible. Stephanie is selfless, endlessly intelligent, and somehow always available to help out at 350 Madison despite her crazy busy schedule. Tonight's event reminded me of how proud I am to be a member of 350 Madison. People like Stephanie, who work tirelessly in the fight against climate change, or what give us hope in a sustainable future and a better world. I will now pass it over to our wonderful Stephanie after a quick round of applause.
Woo! Wow, thanks so much, you guys. And that was a lovely surprise. Really appreciate all of your help as well. Wow, what a wonderful evening of stories, volunteer highlights, and motivating climate action. I hope you feel a renewed sense of purpose and that you will continue to lift your voice with us in the coming year to protect those most vulnerable to climate impacts. I'd like to thank everyone who helped put this event together, especially our steering committee, our terrific co-hosts, and all of the artists, writers, musicians, and special guests who lent their voices to tonight's program. I'd also like to give another shout out to Alicia Schoberg for her marvelous videography and for handling all of the technical aspects of tonight's program. It couldn't have gone so well and so smoothly without you. And of course, I'd like to thank all of our dedicated volunteers and everyone who's generously donated. And now I'm really excited to tell you that we have met and actually exceeded our fundraising goal for this campaign. My latest tally is that we're at $10,200. And so thank you so much for your support. We really, really appreciate it. And if anyone has not had a chance to give or would like to give an extra boost to all these incredible people who are leading our campaigns and doing all of this work, please feel free to click the link in the chat. Really appreciate your support. We couldn't do it without everyone. I'd also just like to make a final reminder that our community care silent auction is open for one more night. It's going to close tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We have over 130 items that local businesses and our amazing community have donated. Skill shares, experiences, gift cards, and beautiful art and handmade items, some of which you got a glimpse of tonight. And you never know, you might just find that perfect holiday gift. And then finally, I'd like to invite you all to our after party. I encourage you to stick around if you haven't yet had a chance to see the magnificent Love Song to the Earth video, or if you'd just like to stay and chat and mingle for a few minutes. And to everyone else, thank you so much again and have a great night.